Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. For today's look, I am doing a blue eyeshadow look. It is a very winged out type of style, just with a nude lipstick. If you'd like to see how I achieved this grungy look, just go ahead and keep on watching. Starting off with my skin, I am moisturizing with the Clinique Pep Start Moisturizer. As you know, this is my favorite moisturizer. I do have dry skin, so it really helps to cool my skin and it leaves a very beautiful base. For my foundation today, I am using the Huda Beauty Faux Filter Foundation. This is a very high coverage foundation. I like to dot it all over my face, just in the areas that I know I need it. You don't need to apply too much of this. What I'm applying right here is about 1 to 2 pumps. My shade is the shade Custard. I also just like to take it onto a flat top foundation brush. This one here is from Colourpop. And I like to just buff it around all over my skin in small circular motions. I do always go over my lips, around my eyes, down my nose. You do want to apply this in an even layer. I always take it down my neck. You don't want to just end it at your chin. And I do just buff it around. This foundation leaves a very smooth finish to your skin, and it evens out your skin tone really well. For my concealer, I am using the Colourpop No Filter Concealer. This one is in the shade Light 14. I apply it in the center of my face. Mine is in the shade Light 14, like I said, but it does oxidize. So if you are going to be picking up this, I suggest that you get a few shades lighter, just because it does darken up pretty quickly over time. Before I even get a chance to blend it out, it's already a lot darker than it was when I applied it. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're selecting your shades online. Just go a little bit lighter. 1 to 2 shades lighter than your skin tone would be perfect. For my eyebrows, I'm using the Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade. I first like to brush my brows in the direction that I want them, and then I start to apply the product onto the tail of my brow first. I always start off at the tail of my brow, just because this is where I want my brow to be the darkest, and then whatever product is left on my brush, I like to brush it towards the center of my brow. I usually line the top of my brow as well. I like to just distribute the product really evenly throughout my eyebrow. The spoolie that I use on the brush is so beneficial. You can manipulate your eyebrow hairs to go in whichever direction you want them to go, which really helps when you're applying. The spoolie also really helps to blend your product out if you feel like it's a little bit too harsh in some areas. All you have to do is just comb your brows and they're good to go. So that's one compared to the other one. The eyebrow that's done looks so much more complete, so much nicer. So I just did the other brow. For my powder, I'm using the Huda Beauty Pound Cake powder. This is loose powder. I take it on a Real Technique sponge and I like to apply it right under my eyes. As you can see, it brightens up under the eyes a lot. So this is something that I like to do just because it does enhance the concealer that you already applied. And it gives a really smooth finish. It doesn't really accentuate fine lines that you have under your eyes. It just looks so beautiful. So I do both eyes, and then I also do a little bit down my nose and on my chin. As you're going to see later on in the video, I also do put some on my cheeks, just right under my contour after I do my bronzer. For my bronzer, I'm using the Marc Jacobs bronzer. This is the Omega bronzer in the shade Fantastic, which is 104. I just always buff some onto my cheekbones. I love how this gives a lot of warmth to your skin. I always put some on my forehead because I do have a big head. So I have to put some on my forehead. I put some down my nose, and I always go just around my chin just to give some definition to that area. You don't want it to look too flat on that area, so I do like to add some bronzer there. So what I've been doing recently with the pound cake powder is after I do my contour, I've been taking my sponge one more time and putting some of that pound cake powder right under my contour area. I don't apply this too thick, but I do give a good amount onto my cheeks. And what this does is it's really going to carve out the bronzer, and it really accentuates this area. And it's going to make your bronzer look so much sharper. Of course, I'm not going to be leaving it this opaque. I'm just going to let it sit for a little bit, and I'm going to dust it off. I do the same thing to the other side. You kind of want to try to do your best to get them as even as possible. I mean, it's not going to be so noticeable once you take it off, but this is going to give a nice brightening effect. And it has really, really good coverage. Like I said, it does provide a lot of brightness. For my highlight, I'm using the Becca Opal highlighter. This is the travel sized. It's the one that I got while I was waiting in line at Sephora. You know how they always have a bunch of small products there that trap you and they just make you want to buy them. So I did pick that up. I do apply it to my nose, onto my Cupid's bow, as well as my cheeks. After I apply the highlighter, I'm going in with my bronzer brush. I didn't add any more product to the brush, but I'm just blending everything in together, which would be the highlight, the bronzer, and the baking powder to make it look a little bit smoother. For my lips, I am using the Anastasia liquid lipstick. This is in the shade Grim. It's a beautiful dark brown, but it has such a unique tone to it because once it dries, it looks purple and a little bit gray. It's so beautiful. I love it. It looks much darker when you apply it than it does once it dries. The eyeshadow palette that I'm using is Colourpop Wet Palette. This is the collaboration with BRETMAN Rock. The first eyeshadow that I'm taking is called Skinny Legend. It's just a nude eyeshadow. This is always a good idea to put down just so that the rest of the eyeshadows that you put blend out really nicely and they have something to be blended onto. So I'm just applying this into my crease. I am creating the shape that I want to keep throughout the entire look, so it's more of a cat eye. The next eyeshadow that I'm using is the one right underneath. It's just a darker brown. I'm going right over the first tone that I put. This is just going to give me a lot more depth. It's going to look a lot darker. As you can see, the shape that I'm trying to go for is being much more noticeable. I'm taking this dark blue eyeshadow in here, which is called Mood. And with this eyeshadow, I'm going over everything that I've already done. And this one is so pigmented. I was so surprised with this eyeshadow because it's so blue and so dark, and it is a metallic finish, so it does have a little bit of shimmer but not too much. So I'm going in and I'm taking it over all of those eyeshadows that I already put down, and I'm just trying to buff it and flick it outwards to accentuate that cat eye. I do want it to look pretty long and feathery. Right on top of that, I'm taking LOL I'm Crying. This is an Urban Decay brush that I got, I believe, in the electric palette. I'm using that one to apply it all over my lid. I felt like it wasn't coming off as opaque as it could have been, so I did go in with my finger and I applied the eyeshadow to my lid with my finger, and it gave it so much more pigment and so much more color. If you feel like your metallic eyeshadows aren't looking as good as they could be, just go in with your finger and it applies so much smoother and so much more opaque, and you can really see all of the shimmer so much more than if you were using a brush. I'm taking a little bit of this matte blue shade up on the top, which is called I'm Chillin'. I'm just taking this one onto my lower lash line to give a little bit of smoke down there. I'm taking a little bit of the Amrezy highlighter onto my brow bone. This is a small Morphe fan brush. These brushes are so cute. They're so helpful when you're trying to get into small areas such as your brow bone and you don't want to put a huge brush in there. I'm also putting some in the inner corner of my eyes just to give me some brightness. This is really going to tie in the look and make it look a little bit more complete. This is basically the last step as far as eyeshadow that I'm doing. The next thing I'm doing is using my Wet n Wild Mega Line eyeliner. This one is not waterproof, but this one does have a super black formula. It's very easy to work with in my opinion. I love the brush on this one. I can really get any type of wing that I want to do with it. I'm really extending this wing outwards because since the eyeshadow is so elongated, I do need to match the eyeliner with it. I don't want to do like a small puny little cat eye, so I'm really going in with this eyeliner and adding a lot of it. I love doing wing eyeliner. Here again, I line the top of my eyelid and then I just extend my wing up to the level that I want to go for. Once I reach almost the tail of my brow, I will just connect the lid and the wing together and then fill in whatever area is missing color, and that's how you achieve the perfect wing. I'm going to be lining the waterline and the tightline of my eyes. I'm using the Morphe Darkroom eyeliner pencil. It's so easy to work with and it also smudges out really nice. If you're looking for an eyeliner that you don't want to smudge, I don't recommend this one because this one is very creamy. Now I'm taking the brush that I used for my lower lash line just to smudge out that liner to give a little bit more of a less harsh line between the eyeshadow and the liner. The lashes that I'm using today are by Coco Lashes. They're in the style called Venus. I love to just apply my lash glue with the end of my tweezers. I do this because it really gives me more control over how much I'm applying. Sometimes whenever I apply it directly from the tube, I put on way too much eyelash glue onto my lashes and it takes forever to dry. I find that this is a really good tip. I like to take my lash into my tweezer, blow on it a little bit just so that the glue can get really tacky, and that's going to make it so much easier to just pop it on and not have to move it around too much. I do apply it to the center of my eye, and then with my tweezers I just go ahead and press down the tail of the lash, and then I'll go into the inner corner of the lash and I push that down. I do try to make sure that the glue really adhere to my lashes pretty well, just because I don't want to have any trouble with them throughout the day popping off. For my lower lashes, I am using a little bit of the Maybelline Rocket Mascara. I love this mascara. This one is not waterproof, but this one does come in a waterproof formula. I do like to apply a little bit to my top lashes as well, just to blend my natural lashes with my false lashes. So that is a completed look. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this. Thank you guys so much for sticking around and watching this video. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below if you would like to see more colorful looks like this. Subscribe to my channel if you have not done that already, and I will see you in my next video.